What up, Calvin? Happy New Year to you, bud.
Yeah, 2024.
Woo!
It's gonna be our year. That's what you're supposed to say.
We didn't do. We
Yeah.
did
Oh,
it.
make the phone gesture that does like a celebration. There we go. He just kicked it in.
Hey, so
Amazing.
stupid. So stupid. I
Oh man.
love it.
Oh,
Oh
I want to
man.
see a 2024 one. Like it just somehow reads that you're having a party, and it actually says like Happy 2024. But maybe AI will improve next year.
Yeah, what's the hand gestures for New Year's? I don't know.
No, that's the thing. The AI just needs to be smart enough that knows we're celebrating, we're saying Happy New Year. It needs to detect that.
Fuck's sake. Well, it will be next year. If anything, it'll just be bots talking to other bots a lot more as well too. We'll just see more and more of that.
Next year will be a bloodbath. I'm not gonna say any of my predictions, but I do. I mean, just in general, there's gonna be a lot of AI, so just get ready for
I love a Calvin New Year prediction though, because a lot of the times you're right on the fucking money. We end up just like pointing them out
that.
later on in the year, like that one. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, you just ignore all the ones you get wrong.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All
I
right,
mean,
what are we gonna talk about today?
look, it is the new year, and in doing so, we only have a little bit of time. We're a little bit stacked between the two of us. I think there's just like a lot of things going on. I think in general for me, these times of years are a lot of reflection, right? I probably reflect a little bit too much. I live not in the past, but I definitely move back through time quite a bit in my mind. And in doing so, there also this moment of a a psychology moment of reset, right? Humans love a good
Yeah.
fucking reset moment, right? Whether it's
Yes.
a Sunday evening and we say this week we're gonna do
Yeah.
better, we're gonna do better this week, or blah blah blah. We love a good reset moment, and this is the biggest one of them all, right? Jan first, everything else like that. Um, in doing so, I think I try to take a different approach to like those moments because I try to not get caught with them, right? I try to go and just say like not even so much starting from now, but starting from like an intentional moment to say I am going to stop this. And in doing so that these are moments where you are saying I'm going to break a pattern. I'm going to break programming. Whether it be I every time I go, play a video game, I need to smoke a joint, right? Well, maybe we need to intentionally break that programming. Every time I go to the bar, I need to have fucking 20 drinks, right? Well, we need to be intentional and we need to try to break that programming. Um, but intentionality is the most important thing. We do love though this moment of reset, and I think it helps us to have like a little bit more intentionality, or at least like call it out as like big wave the white flag. But uh, I don't know for you, like how do these times hit for you? Like,
I'm totally with you actually. And if you go around and ask people and ask friends like what are your New Year's resolutions, you'll it's kind of half and half. You'll get actually I know quite a bit of people that are like, oh, they'll joke around they'll like sarcastically say, New Year, new me, like they don't like it. Or there's a lot of people that are like, I don't see a difference between New Year's and any other time. And I don't agree with them. I think you're absolutely right because the psychology does feel different. Honestly I don't care even if you are like some of the more productive people. The reset feels real,
hmm
and it feels like a time where you can make a big change because you don't have as much baggage. So I agree with you a lot actually on this. Resolutions are good. New Year's is a great reset time.
yeah, I think I want to not get caught up in it, but I do get caught up in it, and I'm getting caught up in it right
Mhm.
now, right? Or we were just looking at it offline, where one of my goals or one of my wants, like we've done. I love our conversations, and I enjoy doing these things. At the same time, now I've gotten a bit thirsty for, thirsty for like growth, right? And growth in the sense of not, hey, how do we fucking go to a bazillion anything, because that's not gonna happen. It's not the point. The point is like, okay, well, we're here. So how do we set a new baseline? Like, how do we move forward from here? And is there a way that we can like potentially put out a better product? How do we put out something that's more viewable? I've asked that question in the past before, but it's also about reach, and I think that this is like something that game developers find like all the fucking time, which is just like, how do you reach an audience? How do you reach a community? How do you engage that community? How do you do the marketing's job? Because the reality is like marketing is not a job, and everybody thinks of like, oh yeah, you just put some posts out and do whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, but I got one view or zero or no engagement. And you put out, up to where we're at now, which is like 63 different videos. Plus like not the ones that we didn't, that didn't ship. And we get about 35, 36 views on average per video, which is awesome across like a 2 week span. I love that. I think that's cool. Half of it's like me refreshing the page or whatever, but like I just but I appreciate it. Because there's a little bit of comeback from the people that do care, and I hope that they get some value out of this. So how do I give more value for them to hopefully then take that, share that to somebody else, and then do what the goal was originally with this whole thing, which was to capture a conversation that we would have normally, and then hopefully use that as like a talking point for other people to spin off into other conversations and poke and prod at like bigger topics that we don't get to have like all the time, right? And then later on write a book based on AI and just like have it skim through the subtitles and write me a book or something like that when it gets
There
good
you
enough.
go.
So that's like where I want to go right this second, and in doing so, like I put out a LinkedIn article post there the other day where it's just like I was just kind of trending my thoughts on like a certain aspect of game development, which is like how can we just go more renegade with user generated content? Because I think in my mind, every time somebody says that, um, we always think of like, well, then there's got to be all these tools. We got to have to build a whole review pipeline. We got to go and make everything safe and very sanitized, and I just think it's just like, if you look at some of the games that are doing it right now, they don't have a lot of those pipelines, like necessarily. They don't all have them. Um, and you can do it more renegade even if you are a smaller company. And I think that those things really just help drive your post launch engagement with your product. And I'd love to just see like a whole game that's just, Fortnite's like kind of like paint by numbers, right? It's like directed paint by numbers. But wouldn't it be cool if you just had an entire game that was like literally just paint by numbers, right? Uh, and what I mean by that is like you farm the content to everybody in your community. Like, I have a level editor, great, like throw it out there, or not. Like, you have like maybe the fresh scene file, like your setup file for your project, right? Maybe just throw that out to your community and just say, make me an interesting arena level, top 10 levels, get into the next level pack, and you will be heralded in the game after that. And then on the side, then do a skin content pack, do a new weapon loadout ideas, right? And just literally just do it as concept and ideation, curate the tops, and then you know build it together and then put it out, and you just do it on like a 2 month cadence, right? Where you have like 1 month of review and then 1 month of build and then release. You know,
And I thought your blog article was really good too, because I mean, just kind of taking a step back, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have nothing to teach. I don't have really interesting ideas." But I mean, I think everyone certainly has interesting perspectives and ones that other people don't realize. I did not see user generated content as like extending your game in the same way that DLC does, in the same way that Live Ops does, and stuff like that. So I mean, that alone sparked ideas for me. So
I mean,
it
you're the
was
one who
great that you
told
brought
me.
it up.
You're the one who told me I fucking spelled it wrong like 20 times across the whole document, and it's in the
You
URL still. It still says UCG in the whole URL. I can't get rid of it. It's just like permanently like that now. Yeah, it's trying to like look like I know anything, and I spell I spell the thing
Yeah,
wrong.
it's like doing a talk about LTV, but you spell it LVT the whole time. It's like,
Exactly.
well,
Oh my god. But like, not to go too deep on that stuff, but like in doing that thing, it took like 30 minutes to do or so, maybe an hour, I guess. I went back and edited it up again and like added a little bit more, but I went and over the break, I recorded like a bunch of B-roll footage for like a little short video, and I actually put it together, right? Like it's an actual kind of thing that hopefully we will see um, on our channel within like the next week as well too. I and then I like today, then I just decided like in the process of like, hey, how do we reach more people? YouTube Shorts and Instagram short reels and stuff like that are huge, right? Like they're big on engagement, TikTok short views and stuff like that. So I just want to figure out how we can put the tendrils out into more places, while keeping content kind of minimal, and keeping our time commitments to it all like as razor as we can, because yeah, the moment that it becomes like too much, it's like it's gonna all fall down. Um but if I can put a little bit of effort against it and see if we can, just see where things go, it's like that's the most important thing for me right now. And look, here's the thing, it's like that's a lot of stuff, and in doing so I bet a lot of people run into this as well too, which is just like mental burnout when they hit the new year. All of a sudden they're like, oh, I gotta fucking change everything. Everything's gotta fucking change. We're getting
yeah,
rid of everything, all of it, right? Like, and I have to just be so cognizant of that right now, that like I if you want to have intention to change, you have to have intention to change gradually or very quickly, but have that gusto to say like, well, I got to make room for that. And I think that that's a big scary ordeal as well for me too right now. Just like we're only in the first week. What is it? The fifth? What is it right now?
oh yeah, the third,
No, it's the third, right?
man.
Yeah. So like, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna write a blog post today, right? Like,
there's a reason why January is definitely huge spike in the gym, because everyone falls off within a month. They don't last too long. So
yeah.
it's hard when you have too big a plan.
What about for you though? Like, do you have any goals for yourself in terms of even just your production goals or anything else like that are coming down? Like, obviously you probably like
Yeah,
outlined a lot of these things like
yeah.
last year, but
Right. I didn't make any hard deadlines in terms of the game, but certainly this is a year where I sort of need to make money, so it's kind of a big deal. But I was thinking here's the thing. I don't know if this is necessarily a resolution or anything, but I have this journal where you can I mean, it's just a day. It's a daily thing, but
mm-hmm,
it's each year. So you actually have like you probably can't see it, but you have like 2022, 2023. So you can quickly like see how you thought across the years.
mm-hmm,
And one here's a small resolution or something. This is kind of similar to what you've been talking about. Me and you are kind of either growing our voice or like sort of wanting to spread out and talk to more people. And in this diary, I every day I write about something I learned that day, and I usually write almost a paragraph about that. But like for this year, one of my changes is I wanted to just write one or two sentences, like one of those really catchy things you might see in an email,
mm-hmm.
like a line of wisdom. And it's way harder than writing a paragraph. So it's like you really have to condense your knowledge into something that's easy to say and transfer and teach people about. So that's like
Calvin
it's kind
says,
of
not
one
Confucius
change.
says.
Yeah, it's like that basically. So like that's one change that I'm deliberately making to make my communication more effective because I think both you and I want to do that better.
Yeah, I love a good fucking metaphor. You know, I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
also, I'm also just concerned. You know, it's a weird, weird industry time, I guess, but it's probably like one of the most unstable times I've felt like within our industry
yes,
in so long,
it
right?
is.
And I'm employed now, but I really feel like that could change in like the next 2 3 months. Like I could just get something down the pipe that just goes and says, you, you got the boot, like good luck. And I think it's no fault of my own. It's actually just like it's just the team that you're on, the position that you're in, where you're at. Like, you know, with companies posting record profits in places and then all of a sudden cutting teams to razor thin margins, it's like I don't know, man. Like that's like ultimate levels of greed that in non-retention that just don't feel great, you know, at the same time too. And I think it just puts everybody on a little bit of just a little bit of edge. I don't know, you know.
Yeah. So do you think like learning to communicate better might help with that, or how do they connect the two ideas?
Yeah, it tries to help, but it's also just I think again another one of those nails in your portfolio. You know, not to be
Yeah.
selfish about it, right? But like, you know, if you're trying to raise your platform and raise your voice within your stuff, like you kind of are doing it for a part selfish reason as well too, which is like you kind of just want to be louder, you know, and in
Yeah.
being louder, you can you can project more influence, right? Like being louder gives you more power. And again, not for me. I'm not. It's not really about power, but power in an interview or power in your ideal state of like when I go into, hey, if I have to resubmit a resume again, well, like I've got this, and I put this out, and this did these numbers, and it kind of just tries to show that like yeah, you're doing a lot, but like you understand a little bit more, or you're willing to kind of like communicate about it. That can be scary now for a lot of companies. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
that can be very
Yeah.
scary for like a lot of companies. So it might like it might do the entire opposite and just like negatively impact everything. And
No,
that's
no UGC game will ever hire you now.
no, but
That's
like
a I
if
can.
exactly, but like if I ever went to them, I could always just go and say, yeah, and like here's what I'm seeing right now. Like here it is.
Yeah.
I'll just point you to it. And I
Yeah.
love that because I've been able to do that in conversations in like social posts on Reddit and because I don't go on Twitter. I went on Twitter the other day, dude. Fucking wild. Twitter is wild. I was seeing some crazy stuff. I don't follow anybody. I haven't used Twitter like ever. Just the
Yeah. Yeah.
base like default stuff was wild. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's pretty
damn.
bad. Actually, I guess a little related to communication. Have you heard of Twitter Spaces? I'm really late to this party, I think. Okay, cool.
Oh,
You're late to it.
ah,
It's like a chat room thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
but it's
I had
to
never
compete with
seen it.
something else that I know that I've seen and heard about that is basically like an open VoIP thing where it's like
Yeah.
people can jump in and talk about a
Yeah.
conversation, right? But I don't know what that's called either. I have no idea.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm very late to the party. It came out 2 years ago. No, actually, maybe a few more years ago. But yeah, it's an open conversation thing, and I hopped in it because it was fighting game related, and oh
Oh.
man, it was just not great. So yeah, the communication on the internet, especially over Twitter, not so.
I mean, was it not great in terms of content and like arrays or just like how people were communicating with each other, or was
Yeah,
it
it's just people throwing opinions around, and everyone thinks they're an authority, and that's I don't know. It's never a good
no?
formula.
But that's the worry for me as well too. I
Right.
seriously, I had to like, I mean, I kind of like caught this like last year for the most part, you know, really just try to I don't know, be a lot more like cognizant of it as well too, which is like don't make a conversation transactional. You know, you really can't make
Mm.
a conversation transactional. If you want
Yeah.
to be like, when people go and say like be humble, right? Like be on, like know your stuff, right? Like, but you don't have to. I say, as I was just saying before, it's like, oh, be loud or be blah blah blah. But it's not again, it's not about that. It's just about like being able to have bigger conversations with people and like get deeper into like the areas where you want to have those conversations, so that you can try to keep your own self like learning a little bit more and get a little
Mm.
bit closer to the pulse. But the the idea that like you can't just go into it and be like, I'm this and I need you for that and we need to talk, or like I'm just going to talk at you and I'm just going to say my piece and I'm not really going to go and listen to your point, and then dovetail back off of that and do the ping pong match of conversation, right? And then rope other people into that conversation and try to come out in the end with some like newer, clearer understanding doesn't seem to always like happen, right?
No.
You see that in new era debates, like in the states right now. So it's not a
Yeah.
debate. It's not a debate as I went to school and studied debates, and it's just
Yeah.
not the same. None of it is the same at all. So it's like a pain in the ass, right? Um, Plus, I think if people were like they feel like they're on a stage, like they feel like that they need to
Oh.
perform. They have like a
Yeah,
performance
I
part of
don't
it
know the
too.
term, but that was pretty much what I was thinking. They're not just perform, but win. They need to
Yeah,
win the conversation. That's.
yeah, I hate that.
I forgot how we got on this topic. We were talking about Twitter, and I segued it.
No, but I would. I mean, this is the thing. It's just like there is just like a lot of different areas of the online world that I have completely
Mm.
disconnected from. I never
Yeah.
connected from, never cared to, never wanted to, right? And I think I did all the better for that. But um, at the same time, I think let's try, right? If you look at the
Yeah.
like the last 10 to 15 years of people who are successful just by purely based off of online, you know, I online ideals, they've done it just by able to start small, engage an audience, build that audience, and then build that up into across many different platforms into a lot of different avenues for themselves, and that opens doors, right? That opens doors to like not just new ideas, but like new opportunities, and new opportunities that then you can go and like bring your friends into as well too. So in our world, like, you know, making games is great, but also, if we're trying to go and like make some money, like hey, we need to go and get like a publishing deal later on or something like that, right? It's like I've done a lot. Like you've made you're gonna do you're doing a lot. You're already gonna be doing a lot. Everything's gonna be getting out. And I've had zero success with in my entire career. So it's like how do we then go and like take any of these things and then pivot them in, or like make
Yeah.
like level that up a little bit. I don't fucking know, Calvin. I don't fucking know. I'm freaking out and I just have no clue, and I'm just trying to just put rubber to the road and see what sticks at this point.
Yeah, and that can relate back to what we started talking about in the first place, which was this YouTube channel. Yeah, I was in the same thing you're talking about Twitter. I did feel that way about YouTube as well, which was like, oh man, especially now the time is scarce, so um, don't know how much to invest into it. But regardless, I just said, screw it, let's just do it, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And even then, I've still learned a lot. I'm always thinking about topics that we could talk about, and that makes you think about things deeper. So, I mean, if there is a takeaway here, regardless of some of the pains of trying stuff and failing, just doing it. I mean, you guys have heard it a million times throughout your life. Just do it. So here's another one. Just try to do something. At least is better than not trying it.
I just finished that Art and Fear book.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Took a couple of months to really get back to it, but literally like 200 pages of exactly that. Just like how
Yeah,
many different ways can you say stop thinking, just go, and
yeah, yeah.
you know, and just keep making. There was a really interesting point, which is like a an artist is not somebody who just like creates once and then never creates again. It's like or creates one great work. An artist is somebody who creates, an artist is their whole body of work across every timeline and every time that they do it. That's what makes like a real artist, right? It's not just you make one painting and all of a sudden you're an artiste. You're not. You if you did it 50, 60, 100 times, it's now all of a sudden okay. Like doesn't matter the quality of those things. It's like you've wrung something through them all, and we can see that there's some exploration into different areas or whatever. Like that's what makes you like an artist, right? Um, the done, the done and the doing, and
Yeah.
that's the most important part of all of it, I think, right?
Yeah, you're always gonna hear, "Hey, just do it," and all that. And for the most part, you're not gonna listen to it. And maybe if you've heard it a million times, but small segue. Like I'm guessing in that book, Art and Fear is it called?
Art and fear,
Art and
yeah,
Fear. Art and Fear. There's a ton of stories about people that just do it and then they succeed as a result. I'm guessing.
kind of. There's also some ones where people fail, but there's a lot
Mm,
more. There's obviously a lot more about the succession and
yeah,
the idea of just keeping on, for sure.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
have this one good quote, not to cut you off, but they have the one good quote at
Uh-huh.
the end there, which was like Pablo Escobar or Pablo Picasso goes and says like computers will only give you answers. Never they'll never or no, sorry. Yeah, what was it? Yeah, computers will only ever give you answers. Whereas like humans generate question, right? Like the human part will generate
Oh, that's
questions, but
interesting.
computers will only ever give you answers. They'll never generate a question. Um,
I like
um,
that.
so it's like there's some human element in all of this that you have to go and like have a question and then seek that question through your medium, whether that be painting, code, whatever. And then once
Yeah,
you kind of hit that end point, then you can kind of have your answer, or at least try to devise your answer, from all of that.
yeah. To actually tie it to the journal that I was doing. So I did write something about this. This was just one sentence. It is maybe not super profound, but I wrote down: "We crave both stories and games because they deliver information more effectively than any other rocket to our brain." So, whenever you have a message, stories really are one of the most effective ways to condense that message into something that we not only can we absorb it quickly, but it's motivating. We want to listen to stories. We want to play games. Those teach us valuable lessons.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, the Celtic way is the way of stories for sure as well too, and my country's
Mm,
full of stories, but some of the best
yeah,
ways to kind of show you even how people lived, right, is through their stories, and it's not just in 18 fucking 46 they were over here and somebody fought somebody, and it's like no, like tell me what the smell of the grass was on that day, right? Did it smell like poop?
yeah,
Because it probably smelled like poop. But like
yeah,
just what's if you can plant me in a place, you can build it more engaged. But I like the way that you said the rocket to my brain,
mm.
because it
Cool.
feels
Thank
like
you.
more directed, right? Where it's like
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah,
explode into that synapse of
yeah,
of engagement, right?
yeah.
I love that.
And I guess to go with one of the themes that we're talking about right now or today is that to just do it or at least set a smaller goal generally or just set something within reason. I know a lot of hobbyists don't like to do it. They want to make a grand game. So instead of lecturing you and saying, "Hey, make smaller games," I just give a quick story. And I think a lot of people, I probably brought it up before, but the way I approach games was always to do every game jam that popped up. That's a 2 weekend or 2 day project. You're limited to a weekend, and I was doing like 4 or 5 a year. And even though a lot of people might scoff at that because that's just a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't learn how to finish a game. You're just making prototypes." The lessons I learned, I still the lessons I learned from the first game I did, I still think about. And now I have literally like 55 games that I have lessons from. And when I do anything, when I do any design decision, they all bubble up. So get those lessons down. They are bigger than you think, even though it's not, a beautiful game or something. So that's my short story.
Dude, 55 games is insane. It's absolutely insane. I love
Yeah.
the 2 day jams. The 2 day jams are my favorite jams because I think that that's the definition of a jam. I don't think that
Yeah.
when they're even 4 days, they feel like infinitely too long. It's like, but the 2 day, it's surprising at what kind of quality comes out of some of those things as well too. Like, absolutely incredible. Um, I think it's all about like, yeah, like building that tool set, building the mindset. You got to explore. Um, but
Do you have a story of growth, perhaps, or anything related to this one?
I got
Putting you on the spot. Sorry.
no, no, you're fine. I got many. It's just so like, I mean, again, like last year it was our, I go back to one even further, and it kind of loops back into a final point, right? And we'll kind of cap it there because we gotta head out in a couple of minutes. A long time ago when I was working at a backflip, I would say that let's say it's about 2.5 years in, and I was starting to get I was starting to get like that kind of. I would journal all the time, right? All the time. I had my black book of notes that I was writing in constantly, new ideas, new game design ideas, whatever you want, right? But I would go through them pretty fully, so I knew that they were at certain points. I was like, okay, this is ready for implementation, right? Now we're ready. But my points would always stop there. Like a lot of the times, they would stop there. I would generate more ideas and go down more pathways than I would ever be able to take on to something else. And in doing so, I didn't get like the greatest sense of feelings because things weren't getting off of the paper at the same time. So we had a lot of different like, oh, I could do this, and oh, I could do this, no, I could do this, and it's like this, and then I would get it to that point, and then I would almost be like, okay, it's done now, like that I've already explored it so hard in my mind. That game is fun. I've played it. I know what I'm doing now. I know what that game would be. I don't need to build it. I never need to touch it again. And then over time, I think that was great and felt good, but not going further past that point was kind of was weighing me down a little bit more. I talked to one of my colleagues about a couple of these things, and I was just like, "Look, like I got all these things. I'd love to try and do them. It's not that I don't feel like I have time. It's just that like I don't know where to. I don't really know where to start with any of them. I didn't really know where to like go, and I was just getting super bogged down by it. And he literally just went and said like, if any of these, anything that you do, anything in life, right? If anything makes you feel like engaged in a certain direction in a pathway and draws you into that pathway, you need to just go. You need to go down that pathway right now. Like you need to move down that way right this second. And the reason became very clear, which is creativity as a spark is hard to recapture later on. So as you're creating and generating these ideas, as you're thinking about all of the things that you could do and how you could move forward and how you could better yourself or how you could do all of these things, stop like kind of quickly, right? And just start moving in those directions. If you feel like you can creatively if something is creatively drawing in you in those ways, creatively drawing you in these ways, just move, just go, stop thinking, just do. And not to go back to all of the fucking just do it, but that's in a lot of ways is has resonated the truest point to me throughout the last while, and I think it's why I'm trying to, continue to do into the new year. I also take 2 fucking weeks off for Christmas and New Year's and don't do jack shit. And then I come back and I'm like, I'm a lazy piece of shit. And I gotta start doing something again.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Sean, I want to say one thing I want to learn from you is how to be a better storyteller, because you told a way better story than me. I tend to rush. I tend to want to get to the point and not get people into the right mindset. And I think that was a great story. I think that's a great lesson.
Thanks, Bubba. Don't worry about it.
That's the Irish blood.
It kind of sometimes, yeah, it can be. I do oftentimes weirdly think about it, that it is a history and a heritage thing. It's a little bit like that. All of our songs are all stories, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like something that's kind of embedded sometimes in people. But I think honestly,
Nice.
and this comes back to it, sometimes you gotta mean things and you gotta say them from the heart, and that's all just yourself and how connected you are to what you're trying to tell somebody.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but look, whatever, I think the best thing is like I'm looking forward to another year of learning from you and continually keeping engaged with this whole topic, because if I didn't have you, bud, I don't know if I would. I definitely would not be anywhere
And
near as
we actually
connected.
learned about the industry. Oh, we followed the industry a little bit more closely because we have to keep up with it for
Definitely.
this.
Fucking freak out on a Tuesday. It's like, I gotta read an article. I didn't
We're
do
like,
anything.
game of the year. What the hell is this game?
What the hell were half of these games? I don't even. Fuck's sake. All right, Kyle. I'll talk to you later.
Here's to another year.
Here's to
All
another
right.
year.
Bye.
Later.